and welcome to Labor Lens. I am Sharon Ijason. On this week edition of the program, we'll be focusing on the welfare of teachers across the country as the Nigerian Union of Teachers announced that they will be withdrawing their services if the schools remains unsafe. As the West African region convened on child domestic work and forced labor, participants shared disturbing accounts of children working from dawn to late night in homes where they suffer abuse, exploitation, and neglect.
We keep confusing child work and child labor exploitation. When you have a child in your house and you ask the child to do basic things that will not jeopardize the health, the safety, the growth of the child, that is child work. Wash the dishes, sweep the house. But when you now make these jobs become a child is living in someone else's house and is working from 5 a.m. in the morning till 11 p.m. in the night, that is pure wickedness, that is exploitation.
But beyond the conference halls, the issue runs deeper. Experts say many victims are under 12, an age group already protected under Nigeria's Child Rights Act and Anti-Human Trafficking Act.
About child labor, but we don't talk about domestic work, child domestic work. And it's something that, because it's not visible enough for people to see, they think it's something that is not going on. But in our West African region, it's something that is very serious that we have to work towards. And as a movement of working children and youth, we amplify the voices of children like victims of domestic work. So we work in communities, working with local leaders, NGOs, and making sure that we bring the voice of these children out there for people to know that these issues are going on.
Delegates addressed these cultural norms directly, insisting that African culture protects children, not their exploitation.
Everything happens in the community. It starts from the community. So we have community stakeholders engagement steadily and dialogue within them. So our last program even shows that there is a little gap between the government and the community stakeholders, where some laws are being made and the community stakeholders are not even aware. So if they are aware, they can also enforce it in the community. Some people like the ballers, the yellow jars, and those are people who see these children most of the time.
Labor experts also emphasize the need for full implementation of the international conventions such as ILO Convention 138, 182, and 189, which set standards for child labor, decent work, and protection of domestic workers.
The ILO Convention 182 talks about poverty alleviation, quality education as two major strategies to reduce the vulnerability of children to exploitation. So we talk about providing decent work for parents and also for children within the legal working age. We talk about issues around ensuring that education is accessible by the communities, because most of the challenges of domestic work comes from the community.
Organizers say more than 200 children have been rescued and reintegrated in Nigeria through ongoing programs.
We can't run away from the fact that children cannot learn in an unsafe environment. The first thing that is learning is security. And when security is being threatened, it makes children unable to learn. And I think basically the only thing I think we can do to strengthen this part of our work is all stakeholders should take security matters very seriously. And in doing this, it begins with the community, members of the community. Everyone has to be aware of whatever is happening around them. Know what you have in your surrounding. This is a time, we've got to a time where every member of the community need to know themselves, know who belongs to your community, know who stays where, and when he or she comes in.
Not a good situation for the most vulnerable amongst us to be the ones who suffer every time something goes wrong in the society. So when we say the government here, I'm going to lump everybody together, the government being the constituted authority over us, and we the parents coming together largely the situation that has brought about that making children not be in school should be looked into, which is majorly insecurity. Nothing else generally keeps children away from school. Should be looked into on the larger scale, majorly. But then in the present, if permanently we're not able to take care of the situation, we could improvise in helping the education come to the children where they are. When you find children, they could be in organized communities like IDP camps or even if in their homes. Communities should take it upon themselves, parents spearheading it, to make sure that children do not lose out, because the more longer your children spend at home, the likelihood, the larger the or the greater the likelihood that they will be exposed to things that will impact them negatively in the future. So in keeping them busy even while they cannot access the physical school buildings, perhaps parents can come in together as community, as members of a community, to make sure some form of even if it's not on the complete scale, some form of education is brought to their children where they are. In homes, they could form tiny small clusters to make sure that teachers come go around maybe once twice a week, but not that the children should completely lose out on their education at this point.
Closings of schools will give children opportunity to do some things, and also make them vulnerable in aspect of being at home, or their parents being sending them to do what are not supposed to, they are not supposed to do. So it's something that we need to pay attention to fairly, because like I said, it affects the children, and it will also bring them back in aspect of their education wise. And what government needs to do is making sure is just to make sure that we have a stable security, not just that, also engage the community people on how to secure our community in order for us to have our children back to school, because uh, before now we have a lot of children out of school, and even closing school we make the numbers more increase.
Life is very precious, and I think that's the paramount issue before any other thing. Um, but we also need to find ways to have these children or keep these children engaged, um, that will not violate their rights as children. That's their right to play, their right to leisure, their right to a healthy environment. Um, so we can't. I think we should come up with ways to just engage these children, perhaps in the communities where they live, organize some form of event or events that can engage them in the meantime.
On the profile interview segment this week, I'll be speaking with the president of the Nigerian Union of Teachers, Audu Amba. He tells me it's of utmost importance for the federal government and relevant stakeholders to ensure that schools remain safe, to ensure that teachers remain in the classroom and students continue to learn. It's good to have you on the program.
Thank you for having me, Sharon.
A lot has been happening in the world of work, and sadly, recently, the school has been a place of attack, and both teachers and students have been affected greatly. You are the president of the Nigerian Union of Teachers. Can you tell us what your reaction is? What are your members saying at this point in time?
Yeah, thank you very much, as I said earlier, for having me, and you are welcome. And it's quite unfortunate that we found ourselves where we are today, that insurgency have decided to invade not any other institution, but the educational institution, more especially as it has to do with our schools, the primary and even the secondary school as it were in Nigeria. This lingering dastardly act has been happening for quite some time, for quite some years now. It started from the northeast with the slogan of Boko Haram, and it has now escalated to most part of the northern state, the northwest, the north central, and so on and so forth. Of recent is the one that happened in Kebbi and that of Niger, who also sent a very bad signal to us, and we felt that we need to speak out this time around with a formative statement that if our school will be left in the hands of insurgency, banditry, and kidnapping, and so on and so forth, we'll have no option than to ask our teachers to withdraw services and rescue of their lives. Also, parents to also keep their children at home. So it's quite alarming for us as teachers. So that's the situation we find ourselves. And we keep on saying that government should be able to have the political will to be able to safeguard and protect our schools. Because here we find ourselves, parents will send their children to school. Little did they know that some people will come over the night and cut away their children, just like cattle, into the bush. And you can't imagine the torture, the trauma that these students will be faced with, and even the parents themselves. The incident that happened in Kebbi, in Maga, one of the local government in Kebbi State, a vice principal was killed with a security guard. Today, the life of that vice principal and the security guard has gone. The children were able to be rescued. But what about the dead that has already gone? So we wouldn't hold our hands to allow our members to be attacked and killed.
So I would like to ask you, looking at the fact
Yeah.
that your union is calling for a strike if nothing changes anytime soon, I would like to ask you once again, do you have data of the number of teachers that have been affected or impacted by such attack in recent times?
Starting from 2014 or so, that I will say that this art of attacking our school started. Teachers have been kidnapped, some killed in their hundreds. We don't have the actual statistics on ground, but I can assure you that a good number of teachers, more especially in the Northeast, were being attacked and killed. And some in the North Central, in the Northwest, were also being attacked and killed. Some were taken into bushes after paying ransom. So I don't want to give out figures that we are not so sure about it, but it is on record that most teachers have been subject of attack, even in our school.
We are aware that some state government in the Northwest has ordered the closure of schools in their states. Can you tell us, are there any recommendations from your leadership towards ensuring that the students are engaged properly at this time, owing to the fact that most of their peers in other regions are probably writing exams at the moment?
That is the irony that we are having and the danger that we are being faced as a country. We are not against the state government that have decided to close down their schools, because there is this saying, prevention is better than cure. If you cannot prevent banditry from coming in to attack and cut away your teachers and your pupils or your students, then the best way is to prevent it. How do you prevent it? Is to close down the school so that every child should go back to his parents. Because hence the schools has become the center of attack, as it were. So the state government that have resolved in shutting down their school because of this very banditry, of course we are supporting it, because you can't allow schools to continue like that while you can't provide safety, and nobody can be able to determine the next target of this banditry that is going on and kidnapping that is going on in our region.
Your union has been in support of safe school over time, and there's also this campaign for more students to be in classrooms. At this
Yes.
point in time, whereby things are not going the way it should go, are there any recommendations to the government, be it at the federal level, state, or local government level, towards addressing the rising insecurity, especially in our schools?
Sharon, there is this safe school initiative where has been going on for some times now. But the question that everyone and every Nigerian keep on asking, how far and how successful has this very initiative of our safe school been successful in our schools? Because if the initiative have been so successful, I want to believe that what is happening now wouldn't happen. A lot of money have been invested in the slogan of Safe School Initiative. But as it were, it has not stopped the banditry. It has not stopped people from coming in to attack school and cut away people. So what I said clearly is that Nigerian government, as a people, we should be able to have the political will to mitigate, to stop all this banditry that is going on. Not even only in our schools, but even in our communities. You could agree with me that most of the communities that are most of the villages that we are being surrounded with are living in fear of maybe being attacked and so on and so forth. We shouldn't wait till somebody comes to now knock at our door and kind of remind us of our inability to protect our school and even protect our citizens. So our appeal today is government should look inwardly by way of trying to see how they can be able to protect our educational institution. In the cities, you have schools surrounding you. You have even private school within the cities. But in the villages, it is only government institutions that are there. Some are not even sufficient. Some are not even adequate. And the security is not there for learning to take place. So government and community leaders, people living within an environment should also be living on alert.
And
Back
there are
to
also
life again.
some teachers also in Niger states that were also
Of
abducted.
course,
And
that are still under the hands of the bandits.
so very
That
quickly,
have not.
I'd like to ask you, in 2014, your union advocated for life insurance for teachers, especially for those that who are working in some certain regions prone to
Yes.
bandit attack. Can you bring us up to
Yes.
speed if there's any updates as regards this development?
Nothing of such has happened. I gave you this simple analogy here now, that this vice principal with his wife and his family was brutally killed in the presence of his wife. They told him that they will shoot him, and they did. Today, nobody is talking about him. Nobody is thinking, okay, how this man has been killed at the cost of his place of duty. Nobody is saying anything like life insurance. There is nothing. So these are some of the things that we are now talking about. These are things that we are talking about until when government begin to ensure us of our safety. If something should happen to us, what insurance do they have for us? Because you can't begin to continue to put yourself in risk.
Moving forward, I'm still talking about the welfare of teachers. How has it
Yeah.
been so far in terms of the wages? Would you say that the relevant authorities have been doing the needful towards addressing the needs of the teachers, especially at the local government level?
Sharon, all of us are Nigerians. We have been agitating for special salary for Nigerian teachers. And up till this moment, it is It is a challenge. Day in, day out. It is a challenge. Even the minimum wage that was so approved, it will interest you to know that up till this moment, about 3-4 states are still talking about implementation of minimum wage, not to talk of any special salary to teachers. Wage, as it were, more especially as it has to do with primary school teachers in the country, is an issue. And not only the minimum wage, there are a lot of incentives that was approved by the then president of blessed memory, President Muhammadu Buhari, a special allowance for teachers teaching in our villages, housing estate for our teachers, a special package for children of teachers that are intending to reach education, and all whatnot. All these things have not seen the light of the day. That's where we find ourselves. The only thing that has come to be is the elongation of the service year from 35 to 40 and from 60 to 65. Every day we keep on asking questions, and we have made several submissions. So long as funding of primary education, let me begin with that. So long as primary education will be left in the hands of the local government to take care of, we will continue to find ourselves where we are. Our agitation is that let the federal government or the state government take responsibility of funding primary education in this country. Once it is done that way, then it will further reduce the burden for local government.
On a final note, I would like you to state categorically what the position of the union is as regards embarking on an industrial action. Are you still meeting with your NEC members, or have you issued an ultimatum to the government?
It was not an ultimatum that we gave. We made a statement. We said government should be able to adequately protect us in our place of work and protect the system and protect our students. A failure to do that, if this thing persists, if this banditry and kidnapping persists in our schools, we will have no alternative than to ask our teachers to stay back at home for the safety of their lives, more especially in those areas that we felt it is vulnerable. That was our clear statement. So it was not like we've given like an ultimatum 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or whatever. No. And before we go on to take any strong decision or determine when we should go on strike, we have other organs. We have our organs that will make presentation and we analyze it. Then we will officially give out alternative. And we are believing that this will be the end. God forbid we wake up tomorrow and we hear a development somewhere in another state, or we hear it in another state. Then we'll have no alternative than to come back on a round table and take decision on whether we'll ask those teachers in those states to down tool or what. So it all depends. But what we are saying is that we need to hear our voice. We need to say no to banditry in our school, no to kidnapping, no to killing of teachers, no to cutting away of our kids in our various schools. Allow learning to take place in our school. That is our message.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. You're welcome, Sharon. Thank you for having me.
And that's all we can take on today's edition of the program. Join us next week for a fresh edition of the show. I am Sharon Ijason. Thanks for watching, and remember that labor creates wealth.